So now what we're talking about is a moment in time, just like the rest of our training in any of the EVE classes that you take from DT4 EMS. The idea is that it is a moment in time. We can't tell you how a person is going to respond because human conflict is way too dynamic. So in this particular instance, what we're discussing here is I'm answering some questions that I've received all across the country about why am I able to deploy my edged weapon so quickly when I choose to move to that point. Now again, this is something that's taken some practice, but we're going to break it down and show you why I believe it is so important. Because if we're talking about an enclosed situation and this person was able to draw a weapon and shoot me in the face at the exact same time I'm stabbing him in the neck, who wins? Well, the answer is obviously there is no winner. So what we're trying to do here is to go, what can I do to buy myself a moment in time to make the next decision, to make this more of an equal kind of a situation? Because truthfully, if we're this close and we both had guns, and we both shoot each other, or we both had knives, and we both knife each other, who wins? So it all goes back to that same type of thought process. So what we're going to do here is obtain elbow control, and we do that by moving in an angle and circle, and then what we're going to do is apply body part to body mass as we then break out our tool that may or may not be used at that instant in time. So again, we're not discussing about what happens after. What I'm talking about is how to practice for a moment in time, and that split second when stuff is going really, really bad, but your mind has to think about it. So just like before, mental preparation for a violent encounter is as important as any physical skill you might possess. So let's take it down, and we'll break it down piece by piece and discuss how we get into that type of a positioning. So again, you recognize that there was a drawing motion. So that's the first and most important thing that your brain has to process, and you can do this by watching videos around the internet and seeing what it looks like when a bad guy is actually drawing something. You can work with a training partner, having them place a weapon about their belt line and have them access for a draw wherever they're going to pull that weapon from, and those are the things that you work on because you have to build up the mental recognition, because if you're already 2 steps behind, it's already too late. So here we go. The idea is I've recognized that he's making a draw in motion. Now obviously my partner here does not have an elbow, so we're going to simulate that, but this shows you what I do when I'm not able to have a training partner, that there is no excuse for not training. So the idea here is my hand is going to reach forward as I step along that line, stepping along an angle here. I'm moving in angles and circles. I reach out and I'm obtaining elbow control by pinning that elbow to his body. And have someone work this with you and pin your elbow and shove it to your body and see how difficult it would be then to take something out of your pocket if they pin the elbow to your body. So once I've pinned that elbow to the body, I've stepped along an angle, now I'm going to pivot my body in a circle, and I reach deep within the pocket, draw back tightly, and that's what allows me to deploy my edged weapon. I get a firm grip, place my thumb along the blade. It's up to you whether you want to grip like this or grip like this. We're not addressing any of that today. The idea here is now I'm offline, I have his elbow pinned, and now a decision-making process takes place. So one more time, what that looks like. And that's how I'm able to get the blade out quickly. So from here, it's because I practiced, I recognize the drawing motion, so these pin. I pivot along that circle, reach deep in the pocket, I'm pinning this in, notice how I'm fighting with T-Rex arms here, draw that back, and access my tool. From here, I have to make a split-second decision as to whether or not I change this into a lethal force encounter. Can I cut the bicep? Can I rake it down his forearm, filleting the arm, whatever it may be, to stop that as I create space. The whole deal is this is a tool, and then what we did to access it. So let's break it down about why we're using what we're using and how the zip tie can help save your behind. Okay guys, Kip Teitsort here, and we're going to break it down. Here's what happens. When I talk about how that zip tie can save your life, or how that tool that we choose to use at that moment in time, just like any other tool, it's going to require your practice. But here's a trick. And there's a little bitty piece that we're using here, and then I'll show you what we've done, and then I will explain that how it's placed into the pocket and so on and so forth. So first of all, let's talk about the tool itself. Now, I prefer, this is a Benchmade Griptilian. It is a Mellow Purdue design. It is, as you can see, Mellow Purdue here. And if you noticed, I've taken and placed a zip tie here on the edged weapon, or the tool. This is the trainer, and as you can see, there is a zip tie on the trainer as well. This is an axis lock blade that has a nice firm, grip. The trainer is 100% identical to the real tool, with the exception, it's just not sharp. So I would highly recommend that if you're going to start learning to train with an edged weapon or an edged tool, that you would turn around and make sure that you purchase a trainer or use something along those lines. Well, anyway, Here's how it works. When you were watching the video a few minutes ago of, essentially bringing a knife to a gunfight, so to speak, or whatever, we're discussing that in close encounter, and you've recognized a drawing motion has taken place. So, granted, this is, in the big scheme of things, it's very rare, but because I've had a lot of fan mail and I've had a lot of people ask me who have attended a seminar somewhere or have seen some of our training, how does it actually work? Well, here it goes. What I do is I take the zip tie and I turn it to the outside. So I carry this in a tip up draw. So when you look at it, it sits in my pocket with the tip up. And what happens is, as I reach deeply, as I draw it, the zip tie here actually catches on the pocket as I draw. And then from there, I place it into my hands into the appropriate positioning and then decide then what do we do. But again, that's a whole nother section. This is just one moment in time. So the zip tie has been clipped and it faces the outside. The part that you're going to have to make sure that you watch for is when you place it in your pocket that the little edge here is to the outside of the pocket, whether you're carrying a left or right-handed draw. But I will tell you that even though I'm left-handed, I still carry in a right draw. That way my left hand is able to seek out to jam up whatever I'm doing. So here's how it looks when it goes into the pocket. I turn the zip tie, making sure that when it's placed in my pocket, the zip tie is to the outside with the clip. And then it goes deep towards the back of your pocket so that when you draw, I'm pinching here, I'm reaching deep with my thumb, and I'm pinching along the clip. So as I draw it out, it automatically comes out. So see, then you can lock that grip however you choose to do. When I close it, I stick it back in the pocket, I make sure that the zip tie is to the outside. I stick it in deep, it goes all the way to the back of the pocket. So when I reach here, you can see you could be immediately taking care of business should that need arise. Here, so see deep, that's already cut. So, or thrust, so to speak. Folks, if you're thinking about an edged weapon or a tool, again, this is a tool, I'm the weapon, you're the weapon. Whatever tool you choose to use, just make sure that you train with it. I will tell you that make sure that you practice, but practice safely. And this is all just for information. Everything that you see here is informational purposes because people ask me the question, so I'm just going to tell you. This is what I do. I will tell you that it took a while to find and train with what I really liked and I prefer for me. And I get nothing from Benchmade for this. They don't pay me anything. I'm not endorsed by them. I just will tell you that the Griptilian, and I don't like an auto knife. That's just my personal opinion. And I also prefer the hole and not a stud. Again, Murphy says in a bad situation, which again leads me to this. Murphy says that when bad things can go wrong, it's going to go wrong. So I still have prepared for what do I do if I draw that and my zip tie was turned around or, the zip tie had broke off because they age and they do disappear. This is like the third or fourth one I've had on this edged weapon. But just like any other tool, just like any other tool, it's up to you to make sure you keep it in working and functioning condition. Now I will tell you this, I'm not endorsing anybody carry these on duty in medicine. That's not my thing. What I'm telling you is that if I carry a tool, this is a tool designed for day-to-day cutting tasks that I would use for anything like, opening a box or cutting a piece of rope or whatever. It's cleaning my fingernails. This is day-to-day tool. It's just that if in the event that I needed to use that tool in self-defense, this would be no different than any other tool as long as it was reasonable to employ in that moment. And again, if I'm talking about an edged tool like this, any type of a knife, a screwdriver, a broken bottle or whatever, I'm in a potential lethal force encounter. So, don't just skip to the technique stuff without understanding, the mental process, because mental preparation for a violent encounter is as important as any physical skill you may possess. You have to make sure that what you're doing is legal, moral, and ethical. So you have to understand these things and think about it when it comes to any use of force. But again, I'm not endorsing anybody use it. I'm not endorsing anybody carry any tool on duty. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm doing is explaining why I do, and what I choose to do under mine based upon what's reasonable under the law. Guys, I'm Kip Teitsort. This has been an episode of Chronicles of a Culture Changer from DT4EMS. Don't forget to tell people we exist. Share our website and let others know that we're out there, and our whole job is about saving yours while you save others. Take care.